All right, welcome back to Talking Fitchburg. I am so excited to be working with this nice gentleman again. It's Phil Dawson from the Big 1070. Phil, how are we doing this morning?
Outstanding. Thanks for having me on, guys.
We're so excited to have you.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah.
I'm a local boy, so I know FACTv, so I'm excited to be a part of it.
We appreciate it. And you came from Verona, right? Graduated from Verona High School?
This is true, yeah. Class of 2000.
So what happened to the Wildcats then?
They lost.
That's all you got?
It's pretty simple, Jeremy.
All right, well, there we're trying to throw them off right out of the gate. All right, Phil, so we know you love to talk Badger football and all sports and beyond, so kind of take us, what are some takeaways from this weekend's Illinois-Wisconsin game?
Well, the takeaways are certainly, the number one story is going to be about the quarterbacks, Joel Stavi and Bart Houston, who saw Stavi get hurt, and just how hurt is he is the question. And Paul Chryst has a press conference later today, so we anticipate we'll hear what the diagnosis is. But with a head injury, there's always a question mark of how bad, how long someone is going to be out. It's not as easy as a given if someone say, hey, they rolled their ankle, it's a high ankle sprain, it's 4 to 6 weeks, et cetera, et cetera. With a head injury, there's always an unknown factor, and then there's that secondary factor of, okay, we got to be extra cautious, extra protective because of the way football has been viewed recently, and with all of the head injury and trauma that has led to scientific studies about CTE. Protection of the player is the number one thing that is going on in all of levels of football. So that's going to be the storyline. Just how injured is Joel Stavi? I don't think there's any sort of competition controversy, despite the way that Bart Houston played, because they thought he played pretty well, had some errant throws, but that's nothing we're not used to watching Badger quarterbacks, and even with Joel Stavi in there. So that's going to be story number one, just what's going to happen with these quarterbacks. And story number two, for me anyway, is going to be Corey Clement. Just how healthy is he now? Did not make the trip to Illinois, which was somewhat of a surprise after was potentially ready to play as far as we were understanding it at first. 2 weeks ago against Purdue, he was all in his gear. He was standing on the sidelines. He was ready to go in and never saw him. And then they made the decision last week, Thursday, that he's not even going to make the trip to Illinois. That's your most dynamic offensive player that you've been without the entire season so far. So if he can make it back, whether or not Joel Stavi or Bart Houston is a starting quarterback, that's adding the biggest power punch that you have to an offense that has somehow found a way to get it done, impressively so, throughout these first 8 games. So that's the good news. But then if you're able to add your best guy, that should only increase the productivity of that offense. And with the way the Badger defense has been playing, it should just keep them right in the hunt of trying to chase down Iowa for that Western Division title. So injuries are really the storyline and who's going to be available.
And Phil, when you look at the quarterback scenario, a lot of people in the last couple of weeks have been chomping at the bit at Stave, maybe not meeting the performance that we were expecting. When you see Houston come in and have a wonderful game, how does that play out?
Well, I think it plays out it's a matter of health. If Joel Stavi, he's a guy that won the job, has led this team to 6 wins already. And Bart, for as much energy that he brought to the game, it was kind of necessary for the players to amp up their games around him as well. Joel Stavi hasn't played as bad as people want to portray, and really neither one, Bart Houston or Joel Stavi, are like excellent quarterbacks. So the expectation level should be, are they winning games? And that's what they're both doing. And Stavi's the better quarterback. He's worked longer with the receivers. He's had more reps. I think he's just 5 wins behind Brooks Bollinger as potentially the all-time wins leader at quarterback for the University of Wisconsin. So I don't know what else you want besides a record-setting quarterback at the position, and that's something that Joel Stavi potentially can do. Now, I don't think there's a huge drop-off, though, either between what you get from Stavi and what you get from Houston. So
right.
The bigger question will be if Clement's ready to go, because you'll probably get a similar performance whether or not it's Stavi or Houston at quarterback, at least in my opinion.
All right, so going in, next game's Rutgers here at home. What do we expect? Obviously, what you've said here with healthy running core and depending on our quarterback. But what do we see with this game?
Well, the good news for Wisconsin and what's been the staple of this team so far through the season has been the defense, right? So they're going to face a team in Rutgers that is offensively challenged. They got just smoked by Ohio State this weekend. I think it was 49-7, and that was in Piscataway, New Jersey. So they got killed on their home field. I would anticipate, and the difference between, and it's a large one, between Wisconsin and Ohio State is just the dynamic playmakers that Ohio State has and Wisconsin doesn't. So defensively, they're going to be able to shut down, shut out, maybe even stop Rutgers from scoring whatsoever because they're not explosive. The Badgers have proven that they can move the chains, get the ball down the field and in small chunks of yardage and not huge gains. We saw Alex Erickson with a big jet sweep and big gain, like the one play over 50 yards this season for the Badgers. And last year they were like number 2 in the country in those because of Melvin Gordon. So it won't be as dynamic, but it should be just that kind of methodical Wisconsin Badger. You'll see a tight first half, and they'll end up going by like 34 or 38-7, something along those lines, because they'll eventually wear down Rutgers to the point where they really can't compete. And Wisconsin's defense is legit. Defensively, this team could hang with anybody, but the offense has lacked so much explosion that the points have been hard to come by. And what could make that difference, whether or not, again, Joel Stabby or Bart Houston are available, is Corey Clement. Because not only could he be healthy, which would be a good thing, but he's from New Jersey. This is his hometown team. He wants to perform and run all over that team, especially like it'd be that big, hey, he's back, and now look at him kill his own hometown team. And that would be a great storyline to follow.
All right, Phil, real quick. We also had Badger basketball this weekend, red and white scrimmage. What do you take from that?
It was ugly. And again, it's just a practice, so you can't really take away much. But the most fun part about it, whether or not Nigel Hayes is hitting a game-winning shot in a scrimmage practice, it was fun to see young players that you haven't seen before. So there's like this 6'9" kid from Belgium named Andy Van Vliet, right? He probably won't even play this year. He'll probably redshirt. But you got to see some of the skills that he has on display. Being so big, he handles the ball well, not afraid to put it up. He has that classic kind of Euro big man game. And, he's skinny, though, so will we even see him?
Right.
The other young guys, the 2 guys that we probably will see this year, Khalil Iverson, didn't get a chance to see some of the athleticism that he's shown in practice, but he's going to see minutes on the floor this year. Same with Charlie Thomas, a big man. These are 2 big bruising, but really young kids. They're true freshmen, but they're big, they're thick. On last week, Thursday, I think it was, Wednesday, Bo Ryan said that if you could start a tag team in all-star wrestling with freshmen in the Big Ten, he would take his 2 guys because they look the part already. And hopefully they can help play the part. They have a really tough non-conference schedule, but they have 2 of the best players in America, and Bronson Koenig and Nigel Hayes. So overall, it's just going to be fun. It'll be a little bit different because you're missing some NBA talent from a year ago, and the expectations will have changed, and there will be more there will be more adversity that this team faces. But all in all, it's going to be fun. They'll be pretty good, and we'll see what they can do.
Phil, thank you so much for the updates on that. We'll have you join the show next Monday, of course. And, Phil, if they want to reach you, what's the best way for them to reach you at?
I'll give my cell phone number here. Follow me on Twitter. @Phil Dawson Radio is a great way, or that's probably the easiest way to get in contact with me. I love responding and interacting.
All right, Phil, thank you so much for joining us, and we'll talk to you next Monday.
Cheers. Bye.
All right. Coming up next, we wrap up the show and tell you what's up for the rest of the week. It's Talking Fitchburg.